Food security, food distribution. We don't talk about it. Why? Last year, the election I ran, I was the only advocate. That was my forte. That's my passion is food distribution. I came with a plan. I put it in it's in my platform from last year. I put it on this year's platform. If you go on my website, you'll see it. Uh, Everybody has their passions: crime, TTC, gun control. Mine is food. It's been my passion for the last 20 years. Why? Because I care about the people. We talk about housing, filling housing up with people, but we forget to say filling people up with food. Food you can't function, right? So, go to my website, check it out. It's a plan I made. It's doable. I talked to Ottawa, people in Ottawa I know, we're still work with them. I showed it to them last year. They said it's doable, can be done, just takes time. What is food distribution? Well, what inspired me to run last year in the election was an announcement by Lori Nicole from Second Harvest. And she made a news announcement in February, I believe, and she said over $900 million are wasted in food in Toronto alone. And the reason it is like that is because there's no system to distribute good quality food. People think food is garbage. Leftover food is going to be scraps, and it's going to go to homeless or ODSP or people low incomes. It's not. It's not garbage. It's not scrap. It's quality food. I'll tell you why. You know. Back to that in a minute. Anyways, so go to plan. I created this plan as a depot. It's called the Food Depot, where food is picked up, good quality food, taken to the depot, sorted, quality control, checked out, sorted again, and then distributed to food banks, soup kitchens, ODSP, low incomes, whatever it takes, whoever needs it. If we can reduce that amount from $900 million to even like half of that in like 6 years, even less. You seen the video yesterday, if you saw it on the tweet, the food bank, Fort York Food Bank downtown. That's where I used to live in the area. Big light up there, rocking around the building here. Just seeing that, it's like just sad. They have a debate coming up on the food bank debate. I'm not invited because I'm not a top candidate, which is unfortunate because I'm the only candidate this year as well as last year. And that's my passion. People know me last year, my fellow candidates, they know this is Phil's passion, it's food. And that's why it's unfortunate. So I'm making this video just to explain why I have the passion. And when I was on the ship in the Navy, we used to recycle way before we even talk about recycling in Toronto or in Canada. We used to recycle everything. From anything that was left over down to soups, sautés, even ground up into meat products, into animal products, and even distribute out to soil, believe it or not. Back then, it became invented. Anyways, so for example, I know a lot of butchers and grocery store clerks, and they tell me an example. For example, you go on the website, I did it in the kind of visual form. Longos gets chicken in a package, right? They have a quota fill, so they wrap it up, as you see. Whatever's left over, that's still fresh and new, they had nothing to do with it. They don't know where to put it. So what they do is end up going in the garbage. Good quality food, good quality chicken. A system set up, like the Blue Box, in a culture change, have a system where it's set where a truck would come and visit, cold freezer truck. We have items supplied to the grocery store chains, example, just grocery chains for now, and they, instead of throwing it away, they just wrap it up, tag it, mark it when the day was done, and because of the expiry. Canada has a high standards of food quality control, not like the States. So pack up the item, put it in the cold bin, take it to the truck, ship it out. So it goes and makes these rounds daily. And that's just an example of food distribution. Another thing is waste of damaged items, meaning like, for example, most major companies have a percentage of 20 to 35% of wastage, meaning when the item arrives at the location, the grocery store, they accentuate that something will be happening. Like, for example, bag of pasta. Presentation is very important for product, especially for licensed products. So that goes on display. They got a rip here, just a tiny little rip or a mark or a blemish. That is called unpresentable. So what do? A lot of companies don't think it's worth returning, too much expense, so they end up tossing it in the garbage. Now, Walmart's actually do recycling. They actually have areas where you can go and buy the food that's been reduced to price because of just a marked item. The bag of pasta, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Just have a marker. That's just an example of wasted food. There's so many examples I could talk about, but it's just a long video. Anyways, this is an example. So, get a system set up. You see the line up there, if you can cut down that waste of food. Also, first thing you got to do is, if I'm elected mayor, and like other cities in the world have done, make it a bylaw. You cannot throw away good quality food. Even restaurants and facilities, you have to do something with it. You can't just throw it in the garbage and let it go, because down the road, somebody can be needing that food right there, and then it just goes to waste. Also, Canada is one of the few countries that does not have an national nutrition guide. Why do we need it? Why do we care? Because we have a food guide, which breaks down quantity and quality and what kind of fruit groups are per daily intake. But you go on further, what is that daily intake, for example? So if you had a nutrition guide like other countries, for example, when it comes to food distribution and food wastage, once the government gets, I'm actually working right now. I met a guy after the election versus the TDSP, and he's actually a food advocate. He goes around different schools teaching kids about nutrition and value and proper food. Like say, if you buy pasta's pretty easy, but if you buy pasta at a cheap store, a secondhand store like Dollarama, not saying about Dollarama, but say you bought a product and the ingredients are less than what the daily intake is per person, meaning you can't have a functioning brain on cheap food, basically, as you're saying, right? So with the nutrition guide, the government has a guideline. So even if you distribute to food banks, right, it has to go by a guideline. To that way, you can't just dish out anything or throw anything or even toss anything away to, like, say, people that need food. Say here's garbage. You can't do that anymore. Once you have a nutrition guide, that garbage becomes essential and garbage is out the door. So it has to be quality. It has to go by the government standards. It's a long process to get this passed. They started 5 years ago. I just got involved last year, and even before the election started this year. So even if I don't win or whatever, I'm still going to continue it because I'm working with 3 guys from TDSP right now and 1 lady, and hope to get something results done. It's a long process, but it'll make a difference for people's lives. So for example, like cereal. I always read the ingredients. When I start working out with the weights, I'll read all the ingredients and everything. You're surprised, like cornflakes looks like a sugar cereal, right? I think it's garbage, but actually, like a 100% fiber cereal will have actually more fat than this one. Actually, just take the ingredients, all this. So if you have a nutrition guide, when you're distributing food, they have to go by certain. Just the example, just to go by certain guidelines, meaning the daily intake. Now it's just the food guide saying the daily intake. It's actually saying what's in that intake. For example, especially when you're feeding families and children's the biggest thing, right? I'm a big advocate for Toonies for Tummies. You ever get involved with that? If you ever had Tension 8, I'm plugging them. Donate, please. I'm a big fan of that. So, nutrition guide. What else I talk about? But anyways, go to my platform. Please check it out. If you have any questions, just tweet me or email me or write me. I got my number there. You have any questions about that? Working on something just locally here. We have a couple of warehouses here. We're advocating for food distribution. We're getting leftover food, quality food. It's hard living on a family of 4. I'm also big on details and plans. They can ask me on things on prices on grocery items from different stores. I'll tell you. I won't go to Sobeys. You need to be a millionaire. Just kidding. Fortinos. Yeah. But an example, like chicken. Like, people buy chicken anywhere. But if you go to I'm not putting them down, but food bases, I buy chicken there. I end up cutting it up. It end up being like half of it's garbage, like fat. But you go to like Walmart, you keep raising the price every time you go there. It used to be like 20, now it's up to $25 a package of chicken. Now you get like 7 legs or 7 breasts, and you can slice it up, divvy it up, like depending how thick it is. I usually buy the thick ones. It goes thinner, right? And you can just distribute it among your family, right? So you can actually, I can tell people, like, talk to people how to survive on $40 for 2 weeks for a family of 4. It is done. It's hard, but it is done. So that's why I relate with people running. That's why I wanted to run too. I'm passionate for food. Food is essential. It's never talked about. They talked about it briefly the other day with food banks, but the programs want to say that's nice having food banks, but food banks are not the answer. We all know that. It's there. We have to use it, unfortunately. But if we can just start a chain reaction of food distributions and food security. Food security is meaning the security of yourself, within yourself, having a good quality food, having muscles and brains, and using that brain and helping others in the end. It's a long process, cycle. Feed the people, educate the people, nurse the people, get their brains going, and then get out there, right? So, check out the website, please. It's a little, it's also just an idea, right? Nothing's standard, nothing's, like permanent. If you have any suggestions to add to it, I'm more than welcome. And also, because I'm not in the debate, I encourage my fellow candidates, the high-ranking celebrity ones, whatever you take from me, what you see on my website, if you want to just take it and put it in the debate coming up for the food bank, please take it. You want to claim your euros? I don't care. Seriously, you go out the door. The main thing is, it's an idea that I had, and I shared with some people, and somebody gave me another idea and made this whole plan work out, and this whole depot thing worked out, and the main thing is to get out there. Even last year, I talked to my fellow advocates, or fellow candidates, and I say, you know what, if you guys have any ideas, or if you have an idea that you like in mind, if you get elected, please take it to City Hall, because the general is, doesn't matter who came with the idea, it's just that it helps the public, it helps the people, and right now, we need help. with food is just being wasted. And lineups like that is just crazy, and that shouldn't happen. That's from just neglect, not being getting involved with more food industry. We talk about it the last 8 years, but it's not delved into. Also harvesting. There's other countries that are also like they even said the therm thing. I went to the Ontario debate there. They even said that if therm fails, they have a contingency plan. They're gonna actually turn that area into growing fields for food. Why don't you just do that now? That's another story. Anyways, please go check out the website. Big advocate for food distribution and security. I believe in the first thing is feeding people. Nice to have houses and cars and all, but if you got nothing to motivate you inside that's where increasing the diseases come, health hazards, basically because of the lack of efficient food. All this that could be like anyone can eat all this junk in your stomach, but if you don't have quality items, you don't have a guideline by the government to go by. And also forgot to mention people have special needs. Some people have like celiac. It's another thing we talked about. Food's getting distributed, and some people have diet restrictions. Like some of my friends, they can't take gluten. So there's a lack of gluten items being donated to the food banks and soup kitchens. So we can further that. I've talked to people on the tweet. They're frustrated. They don't think it's going to go anywhere by talking about it and doing anything. They've heard it before. But you know what? If somebody has to try like me, if I got to try, I got to try, right? If I'm going to fail, at least I know I tried and I'm trying to help them out. So there's a lot of frustration. I understand it because they think they're just getting thrown for a loop and just use for publicity stunts. A lot of publicity is just helping people out. So it's another thing. Special needs. We can also have a coalition of the food banks. I don't think we have that, like a whole coalition, like a website, like they have in some of the countries there, where items are missing. And some food banks need more than the others. Distribute evenly. Not to say that one area should have more than the other. It's something that happens with donations, anyways. So please check out the website. I'm an advocate for food security. I'm the only candidate this year, not bragging, but this year out of all the one talking about food deeply about it, as well last year. All my fellow candidates ran last year. We talked about it many times. That's my forte. There's different things. And this year, all the candidates ran this year. Like I said, you celebrity candidates going for your debates. Unfortunately, I can't go. But you know what? If you like what I see and you like go check out my website. Please put in your debate if you can. If you want to claim it as yours, I don't care. Just as long as it gets there, get the people help, and that's the main thing, right? Eagles out the door. People come first.